It's nearly Christmas time, and Santa Iwata delivered an early present of some new footage of Pikmin 3 during the latest Nintendo Direct. And you know what that means, it's time to start up the old analysis machine and see what secrets the latest footage might be hiding. So the footage opens up with a look at the same course that was playable at E3. In it, we get a few more glimpses at the returning red bulborbs as well as the new jellyfish-like enemy, which we've seen before. But the next scene shows off what appears to be additional portions of that same level, as well as the first appearance of Pikmin 3's take on the butterfly, which are considerably larger than those introduced in Pikmin 2. Fortunately, it seems they're still just as harmless, though they're now able to rest on bulborbs as well, instead of just the stone enemies from the previous game. Speaking of returning creatures, we can now see that the Skitterleaf type enemy is back too, and appears to be similarly harmless. However, if we go back to the trailer released during E3, we can see there appears to be a new brown leaf version of Skitterleaf that actually will attack your Pikmin, as evidenced by the poor Pikmin's ghost here. The new gameplay footage also shows off a few more returning enemies, like the spotty Bulbear of both the big and dwarf variety, as well as the fiery Blowhog. But it shows off a few new enemy types too, like this giant flying creature that can inhale, creating a vortex that traps your Pikmin. And if you slow it down, you can see it actually sucks in some of them too, though the heavier rock Pikmin appear to be unaffected. We're also introduced to a giant one-clawed crab that has a most unusual defense mechanism. He can spit bubbles that will trap both Pikmin as well as your characters in mid-air. It appears that any bubble that traps a Pikmin will pop on their own after about 10 to 12 seconds, though we're pretty confident you'll be able to pop them prematurely by throwing a Pikmin at them. Now, because the bubbles basically allow your character to fly, we wonder if they don't play a larger role in the game, perhaps as a method to reach high areas. Of course, that just might be where the new pink Pikmin come in. Although we can just barely see them in the most recent gameplay footage growing on the high ledge here, there was also a brief glimpse of them in the E3 trailer that confirms they can actually fly. Now, we don't know the extent of what all they can do, but we think we have some idea of how you'll control them. When we played the game at E3, the whistle that you used to call back the Pikmin worked just like in past games. In case you forgot, you simply had to point the cursor at some Pikmin and hold down the whistle button to expand its range, thereby summoning back any Pikmin caught inside it. However, in the latest footage, it seems the whistle's been given a slight upgrade. Now, after it expands to its full size on the ground, it appears that if you continue to hold down the button, a column of light will then extend up from it as well. We're guessing that this is how you'll summon back the flying Pikmin. This way, you'll be able to summon back Pikmin on the ground without interfering with the flying ones, since you can just let go of the button before the column of light extends. Though we wonder the opposite is true as well. Is it possible to summon back only the flying Pikmin and leave the ones on the ground alone? Now, although we don't know exactly how flying Pikmin will be used during battle, we think we may know how it might take down at least one creature. Do you remember the jellyfish-like enemy from before? It has a strange bulb on its head that's too high for a normal Pikmin to reach, but it seems like it'd be a perfect height for a flying Pikmin to latch onto. Okay, that's enough about the pink flying Pikmin, since that's all we know about them. However, the new footage also gives us our first look at the return of the white and purple Pikmin as well. Though we don't know they retain the exact same properties as before, which is poison and strength respectively. Moving on, although we saw this before during E3, the new footage does do a good job of showing off one of the Pikmin's new abilities. Let's take a look at the Pikmin in the background here. They can now function somewhat autonomously when it comes to retrieving resources from a set area without requiring constant input from the player. You can see them at work hauling the material here and then returning for more, whereas in past games the Pikmin would simply take a break once they had delivered whatever they were carrying to their destination. Along those same lines, we can now see that whenever you toss one of your 3 assistants, they'll potentially get to work right away, such as by plucking the Pikmin here without requiring that you take control of them first. Both of these things suggest that the game will feature even more automation than before, allowing for deeper strategies and better time management. Now, at first glance, it appears the videos show at least 2 different levels, the colorful one above ground and the dark and foreboding underground cavern. But if you played Pikmin 2, then you might realize that this could all be part of the same level, as that game featured several underground caves in each level which you could access via holes above ground. So if this is indeed a Pikmin 2 style cave, then we might expect them to play similarly as well, which as you might remember meant that time stopped when underground and that you were limited to the Pikmin that you entered with, making using caution a must. Although I should mention that in Pikmin 1, an entire level did take place underground, so maybe it is its own thing after all. But regardless of whether it's its own level or not, we do see an interesting mechanic here in that it appears you have to manually activate the lights before you can see what's around you. This could make for some pretty tense moments as you try and chart a path through the darkness. Alright, we're just about done here, but as usual, there's just a few details left. First up is actually something that's not here, as it appears we haven't actually seen any footage of the story mode itself. We think this because the only things being collected are fruits, unlike the real-world objects of past games, plus we actually haven't seen the main character's spaceship itself. Instead, everything has been delivered to the research pod, which generally only appears in secondary game modes or levels like the caves. It just makes us really curious as to what exactly Nintendo is hiding. Finally, all of the new footage was recorded without any icons clogging up the screen, unlike the demo we played at E3. While this was probably just a developer-only setting Nintendo turned off specifically for the footage, it's possible there's an option to move all of those elements to the gamepad screen, freeing the main TV display of unnecessary clutter. It'd be a nice option if so. And with that, we're done covering everything we could dig up on Pikmin 3. As always, let us know if we missed anything by posting in the comments. Thanks for watching, and make sure to stay tuned to GameXplain.com for more on Pikmin 3 and other things gaming too.